Hello, this is Linda Vettrus-Nichols, and do I have an amazing woman to introduce you to? Lily Hurley. Welcome, Lily.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Okay, so love is the answer. Tell us about that, Lily.
This is the first thought that came to mind when you asked me what is one message that I would like to relate to people.
Right?
And I thought of something that is very universal. Of course, it's a language of love.
Yes.
And I do believe this with all my being that love is the solution to almost every problem that we have in our lives and as a society as a whole.
Right?
I think, as cliched as it sounds, people would also relate to this message because anything negative that is happening in a personal level, at a societal level, is usually due to elements like greed, unsatisfaction, all the negative moral that has been built up over time.
Right?
And I think love is the most gentle and yet the most powerful, the most generous way of dealing with all of these problems. So I know
Right?
I'm speaking of very general terms, but it truly is that one message that I think that people need to bring to their attention a lot more often nowadays, because we
Right?
get really caught up with being in a micro problem solving mode and we
Yeah.
forget about this overall approach that actually could be a lot more powerful and effective. Yeah.
I
So
love
I'm
it.
obsessed with studying problems and troubleshooting. And it's funny how eventually to be kind, to love, to put yourself in other people's shoes can be so powerful.
Yeah. Yep, and the bottom line is you really can't love others till you learn to love yourself. Yeah. And
That is so true.
so you probably aren't even going to be willing to reach out and connect when you don't feel good about yourself, and on top of it, you don't really even love yourself. So yeah. So what are the ways that you tend to like reach out to connect with others? I mean, during COVID, you've had a whole new experience, right?
Yes. It has changed the way that we connect for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will tell you an example of reaching out right now in Singapore that is completely new, comparing to before. So we are not allowed to go out for personal reasons unless it's for essential
Right.
services and
Yeah.
to work out. But the delivery service is still very much active, and we can call for somebody on a motorbike and that person could try to deliver something to another place for us. So ever since COVID started, I started baking a lot more. Baking is a personal passion of mine. And one of those days, I remember making some really delicious sea salt dark chocolate macadamian cookies. And I was sending pictures to my friends as usual. I was just sharing, right? That was the closest I thought I could do. But then I thought, hey, why not I have this cookies delivered? So I put them in jars. I wrote a nice message. I accompany those cookies with some cold drinks. If my friends like cider, I'll put a cider, otherwise a ginger ale or like a little bottle of champagne.
Cute.
So yeah, I started this delivery, and because this time everybody's home all the time. So
Sure.
It was truly a surprise when all these little packets of love reached to my friends, and there were people who were really sulking for the whole day, and they said, oh, when we received this little surprise, it really did make my day. So I think little acts as such can really connect people over this different time. Yeah.
I love it. That's great. That's so cute. Yeah. So all we need is love. Oh my goodness. Yes. And love comes in many forms, even in touch. right? And because humans super need touch. And of course, my husband and I always teach heart to heart hugs. So it's left cheek to left cheek. So you go in for a hug with your left arm, just raise it, and you will get a heart to heart hug. And when you're not hugging heart to heart, a conventional hug is actually liver to liver, and we store anger in our liver. So I would much rather have a heart to heart hug.
Oh, I love heart-to-heart hugs. I first heard about the concept in Burning Man because when you say hi to every burner on the playa, you hug each other. So when I came back to default world, I was having a tough time. Yeah, this is our default world, our reality. When I came back, I had a tough time to sort of not hug somebody that I meet for the first time and creep them out.
I love it. It's so cool. It's so cool. Here in Nashville, North Carolina, there's like an Asheville hug, and it's very crunchy. Sometimes it's like granola crunchy.
It's crushing.
No, it's not crushing. It's just crunchy means like you're earthy, right? Because of granola bars for hikers and stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
And so they're a very long hug, and heart to heart, and just tight, like in a good way, tight, and just you don't release until you just feel that you're done, you're complete. And it's not when your head decides to release, it's when your body decides to release, and you hold that hug as long as you need to, if you will. So it's very cool, and you're so connected to the other person that like neither one of you lets go earlier than the other. A lot of times it's really cool that way. Yeah,
that could go indefinitely.
Yeah, they are very long hugs sometimes. It's really beautiful, and it's really fun to see the manly men do their really long hugs, because I just really
it would be fun
think
to see men hugging. It would be fun to see men hugging for a long time, really letting go of who they're supposed to be and their ego and their macho-ness.
Well, they do here. That's for sure. We're real hippies here, it's Asheville's funky.
Love that. That.
So it's our Burning Man city. It's like Burning Man, right? What were you gonna say, Lily?
No, I wanted to ask you if you've heard about the sloth hug.
No.
Imagine how slowly sloth would just move over with their little cute claws, and they hug like there is no tomorrow. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Very interesting. My husband found out he was Native American when he was 46, and he learned that when you hug with, if you're hugging someone and you're over the top of them, then then you're dominating them. And when you're the one under, you're being submissive. And so in the world of Native Americans, it's, one up and one down, kind of a balance and equality thing, a respectful thing to do. Yeah, I love it. All right. So capable of love. Yeah, well, we talked about kind of love yourself. What else comes to mind when you think about capable of love?
I think it's more of a message to ourselves that we're all capable of loving.
Okay.
A lot of people have the mentality of wanting to be loved by others, and they want to be fixed. They want somebody to come along and magically everything will get better. But the message here is that instead of being receivers, we should all be givers. And if we're in the world of givers, it's going to be a lot more happier. There will be a lot more positivities and possibilities. So yeah, I think a lot of people tend to think that they are broken or they need others and they need healing from outside.
Yes.
But to me, what's really important is that the real healing only happens within here, within
Yes.
yourself.
Yes. It's an
And
integration too. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
totally. So the word integration is very apt here, because unless you take any message or any feeling or any emotions into your body and
Mm-hmm.
start processing it here and here, you won't be able to receive anything. Actually,
Right.
you won't. Yeah, it wouldn't become you. You won't subscribe to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope everybody knows that they are all capable of loving, and it doesn't cost a thing. We always have a deep reserve of love to give to other people, even in our darkest times.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. I lost my father to suicide when I was in high school, and I didn't cry for like a month. And a friend came over, and I knew she was coming, but I didn't know she was in the house. And she came running up the steps. I was in the bathroom brushing my teeth or something. She was, Linda, like that. And I just went, my infant startle reflex, my Moro just
Yeah.
went off with that breath. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't take anymore. Like, what else has happened? It just, like, as if something had happened. I just went right over the cliff. And I just, in the sort of, relief that it was her, I let down, and then the tears let down, and I cried. And I didn't stop crying for like 2 weeks. And my mom finally, sent me to church to a pastor. It was a pastor who had lost his wife to suicide. And we just sat on the couch in his office, and we really didn't say anything to each other. And it was that, we really are all connected, and we are capable of love. And I felt love just sitting there with him. I didn't know him. And then all of a sudden, these like silly stories or fun memories, and the non-painful, oh, my love is gone, like the person I loved is gone. What we loved about that person started to bubble forth, and it was the most healing session I have ever had in my whole life, because the number one thing in healing is understanding, and obviously he understood on a certain level, right? So that was really
And that
cool.
understanding doesn't need to be translated in words. That's why in silence you
No.
felt everything.
Yeah. Yeah, it was so beautiful.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Bye-bye.
Bye.